Hello, this is from IronGeek.com, and today's quick video is how to set up a quick Ethernet bridge in Linux. Essentially, there's several reasons why you might want to do this. One, you might want to set up an intrusion detection system to see what kind of traffic might be hostile going through your network. Also, you may want to just sit there and figure out what your users are actually using the network traffic for, so you know possibly what things you need to open up or block on the firewall. Another thing you might want to do is just to snoop and see what kind of things are going on. I'm going to show how to set this up on Ubuntu Linux 9.10. I did a similar video before on setting up a bridge using Windows XP. A lot of the same ideas apply, but this is how to do it in Linux. Essentially, what we need to start off with is a computer with two Ethernet interfaces. Hopefully the lighting's good enough so you can see this. I have the one built into the laptop, and I have another one that is just a little $9 USB Ethernet adapter I got from Deal Extreme. As you can see, one line runs off to my cable modem, and the other one runs off to my router. So essentially this puts this laptop in line with all the traffic on my network. Next I'm going to show you is all the commands you have to use to actually get this Ethernet bridge up and running.
Okay, as you can see, I've already logged into my Ubuntu box. I'm running version 9.10 of the distribution, though similar instructions should work for pretty much any Linux distribution you might use. I happen to be using some instructions from help.ubuntu.com, and I'll link off to the site on the same page where I post this video. I found it really useful for setting this up. They also have instructions on how to set this up to where it automatically starts whenever you reboot your machine. I use mine for diagnostics, so I don't want that to happen. But if you want to set up an IDS or something like that, you probably do. So the first thing we need to do is we need to actually apt-get the utilities we'll need to set up our bridge. Let's use sudo to tell it we want to run this as root, apt-get install bridge utils. You can hear my beautiful IBM Model M keyboard in the background. And this one's my password, so I can run that as root privileges. And away it goes. Now, I've slightly cheated. I've already pretty much installed everything I'm going to need to do this video tutorial on this box already. So, as you can see, I've already installed bridge utils. The next thing we want to do is find out what interfaces we have, so we know which ones we want to bridge. We see ETH0 and ETH1. If for some reason nothing appears, or not the ones you want appears, do an ifconfig-a to see all the interfaces, even the ones that are down. But as you can see, we have ETH0 and ETH1. Those are two we want to bridge together. Now, luckily, I have cheated things a little bit, made it a little easier on myself. Instead of typing in all the commands to set the bridge, I put them into a nice little script that I can run. So I'm using Nano to edit it and show you what I got. Startbridge.sh is a little script I wrote. As you can see, the first thing we do is we configure both ETH0 and ETH1. We add them to the bridge, and we finally bring our bridge up. All I have to do is run this script. Now, you can create that script in pretty much anything you want. I use Nano here. You could use gedit, whatever you have. And the next step, obviously, is to make sure it's executable. So you want to do a change mod plus X on it to make sure it's executable. Now, I've already done that, but just to show you, just change mod.x, and now this should be executable. Now, let's say we want to run that. Let's do an sudo, and to make sure it's running as root once again, because only root can set the bridge as we need it to be set up. And we'll go ahead and run it. Now, if everything is going correctly, our bridge should hopefully be set up and running, and we can start sniffing traffic. To see whether or not we're actually sniffing traffic, let's use TCP dump. And we want to tell it what interface to use. In this case, if you saw my script, you noticed it set up the bridge to be called MyBridge. So I'm going to tell it to use MyBridge. And as you can see, a whole bunch of traffic is passing. Now, for those people who are really astute and think I've just dropped my docs, this will not be my IP address by the time you see this video. At least, I hope not, assuming I don't totally screw up. Now, if I was through ifconfig again, you'll notice there's an interface called MyBridge right there. Right there, I was using TCP dump just to show you what was going on. At some point in time or another, I'm going to have to do another video on TCP dump just because it's so useful if you only have an SSH connection into some box. But let me show you one thing that's really useful to do with TCP dump, and that is log all the packets to a nice, lovely pcap file. First thing we want to do is tell it to use a snap length of 0. As unintuitive as this might be, this basically tells it to grab the entire packet. Essentially, snap length tells you how much of the packet you want to grab. Sometimes the only thing you really need is the header of the packets to know, source and destination, and you don't need to grab everything else. We want to grab everything because we might be feeding this pcap file or something else later. So I'm going to use a -s0, and I want to tell it to write out this pcap file to out.cap. And later on, I'll show you opening that up inside of Wireshark. Right now, it's logging the packets that are going out across the network, and I may need to do something to up the number of connections I have, but that should be good enough for illustration when I go downstairs. Now I plan on switching off to a live section of this video.
Now, one of the things I mentioned before was I was going to open up that cap file I created in Wireshark. So I'll just go in these applications here, and because of the nature of how I'm capturing this, I'll just do this all handheld. Go to the Internet, Wireshark, and that cap file, I entered it upstairs by hitting Control-C already. So I can just now open up that file, assuming everything works out alright. Open, and let's hope I have all the right file permissions to make this work. There's my little out.cap. Let me open it up. And as you can see, there's the data. I could take this onto a Windows box and throw it through a netminer if I wanted to. Well, we're talking about cool tools to use to monitor your network. Really, what we should do is an IDS, but this whole setup would work fine for setting up an IDS. What we're going to do right now is I'm going to use sudo-I, just so I don't have to type in sudo every single time. And now I have a root prompt. I'm going to run two other tools. One is called DriftNet, and I'm going to put an and symbol on the end of that once I finish it. But let's tell it to use the proper interface. We'll tell it to use -I MyBridge. And put an and symbol on it so it keeps running. Alright, that one's over there. Let's also fire off ethercap. Or sorry, ethercap would be what you might want to use if you want to sniff for passwords or some other types of information. We want to use etherape. So we'll fire up etherape and see what's going on. Etherape, as you can see, does really pretty graphs saying this particular host is talking to this other host. That's all nice and fine. But DriftNet might be the thing you'll be more interested in. I'm going to grab DriftNet here, and then I'm going to walk over to my couch and grab my other laptop. Keep in mind from the first part of this video, this laptop is in line with all traffic on my network. Here's my laptop, and let's do a little bit of web surfing. Now, the nice thing about DriftNet is it will extract out of HTTP streams images. So, let's go ahead and do a little bit of web surfing here in a second. I'm going to turn you away from the web browser for just a second so you don't see what all I'm doing. And I'm going to go to Google, and let's go ahead and do an image search. Click on images, and I'm not sure what I'm going to search for yet, but let's go ahead and just use IronGeek and see what comes up. As you can see, there's a few images of me, and if I go back over the DriftNet, since this box was in line, it was able to sniff all the traffic going on the internet, and there's some other pictures of me. As you can see, etherape has a whole lot more connections going on right now. Hopefully this video gave you a quick idea on what you can use an Ethernet bridge for, and hopefully you find it useful.